The blog at djjim.co.uk have recently published a post on the 10 most iconic vocal dub tracks. What is vocal dub, I hear you say? Well, vocal dub is like a dreamlike version of reggae. I believe that is where it is from. It is easy to hear why in songs like Never Tell You by Rhythm and Sound, which is the first track on the list. So, where did vocal dub come from? The dreamlike nature of vocal dub has been likened to techno, and I can see why. However, its most obvious feature is its reggae vibes. The music initially kicked off in the 1990s, and from listening to the soundscapes which are rich in reverb and drenched in delay, I can really hear what vocal dub is achieving. It's the kind of music that you would listen to at the end of the day, probably with a spliff on the go. Either that, or when you are just crashing out after a night of clubbing. After the rhythm and sound track, we are presented with a track by Dubwax. This was released in 1997 and is heavily reliant on percussion. It probably uses a ton of different drum samples, and again, we hear those more dreamlike two-note chords that is a staple of traditional reggae music. The next track is Illegal by Swayzak along with Benjamin Zephaniah. We are immediately presented with delayed pads of the dreamy nature we have discovered as a part of the genre. Again, you can hear that there may well be a drug culture around the genre. However, drugs form a big part of most genres, and particularly in the electronic music space. Next up is Paul St. Hilaire, featuring Renee Lowe with Faith. Paul St. Hilaire was featured in the first track on this list. When you have listened to a track without lyrics for 2 minutes, you can be forgiven for thinking it is going to be entirely instrumental. However, some lyrics start on 202. The percussion on Faith is very light, and the track makes clever use of panning, which must be a treat to all those who are listening with headphones or earphones. Rhythm and sound are featured again in the next track. This time it features Jennifer Lara. The song is called Queen in My Empire. Jennifer is the ideal vocalist for this song, as she has a wonderful voice that suits the genre incredibly well. Again, we hear those two-note, staccato chords that are reminiscent of the reggae movement. The next track is Sleepy Girl 4 by Yagya. Again, we hear the dreamlike soundscapes that are a staple of the vocal dub genre. Yagya has a beautiful voice that is treated to a level of delay that suits the dreamy theme. The fast and frantic nature of Yermande by Mark Ernestus' Ndaga Rhythm Force sounds like it uses a lot of live drumming. I can imagine this one played in a live setting. The vocals in this track are largely in a foreign language, and I also guess that there are more percussionists than just one basic drummer. This is because there are sounds of tribal-like drums that wouldn't typically be present in one drum set. Blue Train featuring Prince Morella is next on the list, Precious Times. Again, it has a fairly fast drum beat and sounds like it just uses the one drummer or basic percussive samples. Paul St. Hilaire is on the list again, next with Little Way. This has a slow and steady beat. I would guess somewhere around 110 to 120 beats per minute. It's another relaxing track that you can listen to when you get back home after a long day or after you get back from a club. The last track on this list is Dialogue featuring Benji. This opens with a prominent drum pattern and a soundscape in the background. It makes heavy use of reverb, as is so often there on the tracks we have mentioned in this video. If you're not asleep yet, you soon will be. That's not taking anything away from this track. It's a really enjoyable track, and if you are new to vocal dub as a genre, you will find that the tracks on this list may well influence your musical taste, as I am sure I will now listen to much more vocal dub in the future. Is it my favorite genre? No, I still rate progressive trance as my favorite genre, followed by relaxing classical music, but vocal dub is a genre I will appreciate more now after making this video. What is your favorite genre? What would you like me to cover more of in Kranakin TV? Please let me know in the video description below. Also, please don't forget to like and subscribe. When you do subscribe, please don't forget to hit the bell so that you are notified of all new videos right here on Kranakin TV.